Okay, so I'm going to talk about Define now, or the chin. You know, it's funny because whenever we started this aesthetic journey, we just paid attention to this only. And it was only nasolabial folds. That's all we did. And it was so funny, y'all. I used to have this lady, I'll never forget this lady. I put 2 syringes of Radius, which is made, it's called calcium hydroxyapatite. So it's made out of bone, or has bone products in it. And so she left my office that day. I put 2 syringes. That's 3 cc's of filler. That is a lot. Right here. She looked like a monkey. It was smooth as crap, but it looked like a monkey. And she told me she was going to the dentist right after. And I was thinking, oh my God, you're gonna ruin my filler. And if you do x-rays, I don't even know that you can see into the mouth because you've got all of that bony structure that's going to be like going between it. So that was, I learned from that. But anyway, we've learned a lot in, you know, all over this 20 years of doing this, that we used to just do this and that all of this looked like hell. And so now, I remember the very first time I used to see that we were doing cheeks and they look like Martians, and I'm like, oh no, we're not doing that. But now I think it's kind of gotten to where it's a more natural look. And now, because we are fixing this and here if you need it, but because we do the cheeks, we don't need much here, then we pay attention to the chin. You know, chin was the last thing that we started doing, and it's amazing what a chin can do. It really is. There's a rule of thirds, and you go from your hairline to your brow to your nose, and your nose to your chin. And if those thirds are pretty even, then somebody said that's the most beautiful, you know, way to do things, or to make it look like it's even Leonardo da Vinci or something. Somebody's put that together. But if your chin is lacking because of that freaking bone that's been absorbed over time, then you start to get marionette lines, because remember that ligamentous process is here and everything forward of that falls forward. And so you get your jowls, which I freaking hate that. And these marionette lines that get deeper with age. And then you have this short chin and we get squared off. And so you start looking square with these big folds, and it's awful, y'all. This is just not fun. So if you put a chin on someone, let's say, okay, so a chin, you want your chin on a female to be the width of your nasal ala, which is tucked under your nose, and for a man, you want it to be at the corners of your mouth. So you can't, you know, if you look at a lady and they're 60, 70, they're probably squared off. And so squared off meaning they're square, but it almost makes them look more masculine, because usually their chin is out to where the lateral corners of their mouth is. And so to feminize them, but to also make this marionette line better, you do 1 injection here, you can put a whole syringe here. And if you put a whole syringe here, it's going to make the chin more elongated so that you're more of an upside down triangle, but it's also going to bring it out a little bit so that your rule of thirds is more correct and in line. Now, just because you're doing it here, y'all, it will make these marionette lines better just by doing that 1 stick. It is amazing. You can see it before your eyes when you're doing it. It's the coolest thing ever. So once we do that, if that's not enough, which a lot of times it's not, then I'll take a cannula. Remember, that's that blunt tube instrument that's 1.5 inches, and I'll go from here and I'll try to layer more filler here to kind of fill in those 2 sides, because you get indented right there. It's not the most comfortable place. If I get into the wrong plane or into the wrong doorway, then sometimes it's uncomfortable, and I can get into another doorway that's more comfortable. But sometimes it's just not very comfortable right there, I have to say. But it's not too bad. And to put a chin on somebody, we used to not think that it was a big deal, but the more that I do them, the more that I like to do them. And I will bring up chins a lot of times faster than I will do other things, because that's where my eyes go to now. So I know that's a weird thing to think about, and it's a newer concept to think about, but just kind of look in the mirror and see if your rule of thirds is okay. And if it's not, let us know. We can certainly help you by putting a chin on you. I'd probably use Define for that, which is that expression technology, because it stretches and recoils back. But I think Lift, we used to use Lift a long time ago before we had Define. But now I think Lift is going to get another indication pretty soon. So yes. So which will be wonderful because I love Lift. But we'll probably start using that in the chin, and that's going to give us, because it has a lot more G prime, it's going to be able to pull the tissue out more than what Define can. So it's going to be a wonderful combination to use both of those products in the chin. So I'm looking really forward to that. So anyway, if you have any questions or want to talk more about that, let us know.